Now we get to meet the kruleboyz orcs. Now these guys are the ones for me that stole the show. These guys are amazing. They for the Grimdark Live, they did say they were gonna be kind of like the orcs from the Lord of the Rings, the Tolkien kind, and they were actually quite on the money. They kind of do remind me a lot of the Urukai. They kind of have that kind of feel to it. Now we did get to learn that they do make their homes in bogs, swamps, and murky places, especially in Gur. When Kragnos began the rampage, the kruleboyz took to him like a moth to flame, worshipping him as destruction incarnate. The kruleboyz are rising up across the realms to join their kinfolk, and they're bringing some big nasty beasts with them. The new addition to the Orc war clans have been designed with cues going way back to the early days of Warhammer. The leering faces on their red shields would no doubt feel similar to hobbyists of a certain vintage, while setting them apart from the other orcs. Leading the kruleboyz from the bogs are the sadistic Killaboss warlock, the Killaboss of the great Nashtuf. So maybe Nashtuf is going to be one of the sub-factions, just like any other thing, but one interesting tidbit that they announced was the fact that their shields are always, or like not just their shields, kind of the pieces that they wear, they represent as to what they think they look like. So here he thinks he looks like this, well, always with his tongue out and stuff like that. But like I had said, for me, these guys stole the show, and for me, that's going to be quite amazing to paint. Might be a little bit of a hassle, but it's gonna be so much fun. There's just so much details going on everywhere. A little hand hanging there, skull in here, just laughing its face off. Shrunken head. Well, why not? Let's have a little shrunken head. I think this part was maybe the other side, when they do show off the other side. I think that's gonna be one of the rumor engines that we had, the one on the other side. And even the shield itself is pretty amazing, but the war boss itself, amazing. And then when they animated it on the cinematic trailer, it looked amazing. It's the fact that you felt that even these guys, the Swamp Kala Shaman and Podgrot, the little guy, they're always joined together. His bag has the fact that he has a skull. I like the interesting tidbit that they made it, the little interesting detail on the side that made it seem like he's crying blood by just putting this thing on the side. And of course, being orcs, they're always entwined with magic, and they always have to have shamans with them, and they have to see the prophecies of Gorka Morka. Here you can see who they're basically aligned more with. I believe this is the sign of Mork right here, and it's pretty cool. I think this one right here was one of the rumor engines right here, or maybe it was one for later on. But here you can also see the fact that he also has a little body thing, red, and that's how he represents himself right there. But it looks pretty amazing, the little effect that he's dropping some sort of potion going on. He's making stuff in the little cauldron, and it's just pretty cool. And honestly, you get the little bases at the fact that they are from swamps, and they did say that it was going to be push fit, easily solvable. If you wanted to change the base, you want to make it into something else, you really could. This was also one of the rumor engines from way back, if I remember correctly. And then we get the Killaboss with Stabgrot, and this one was the funny one. Is that the fact that whenever they're fighting together, he always joins the fight, but whenever he feels like he's losing, he will actually throw him under the bus and just leave him to die as he gets time to escape. Every Killaboss is ruthless and ambitious, having backstab, poison, and otherwise dispose of anything that stood between them and their leadership goals. So it's pretty cool. And they also made him have a little Stormcast Eternal right here with Thunderstrike armor. And honestly, they look pretty cool. I'm interested to know how they're gonna compare to size. If we compare it to the dead body here, I think they're gonna be about the same size as the Stormcast, or slightly taller. Let me see. Let me go back to the actual thing. Yeah, they're gonna be about the same size of a Stormcast, with the exception of the other guys in the back. So then now we get to meet their Belchabana, one of the banner boys. He's the one that gives me a lot of that Urukai kind of look, and it looks pretty cool. This one was the rumor engine that they showed. A lot of people said we all thought it was Photoshop, but I had said that it looked more like a banner kind of thing. And indeed, it was a banner. But it's amazing at the fact. Also, they did mention at the fact that for them, they have never actually seen Kragnos themselves, but they do worship Kragnos. And the way they had mentioned is the fact that this is how they think Kragnos look like, and this is the sign of their clan right here. So whenever we see like a little horns on the side and stuff, that is a representation of what they think Kragnos is like, and of course under it always have to have a representation of themselves. This is how he sees himself and stuff. Holding the lost icons wrought forth by of Kragnos, the living earthquake, these strange devices offer protection against enemies, magic, and flood to the battlefield with choking swamp gas. Oh yeah, they did mention at the fact that this is an actual tongue of one of the beasts that they killed. Like, this is not actually metal or anything. I'm pretty sure if we had lived in that time, in this world, if you were to touch this, it would actually be slimy and soft to the touch, since it is a tongue. And apparently what it does is it comes from a creature that kind of releases gases around, and that gives that illusion of being swamp places. So I'm guessing they're gonna have some sort of a mechanic equal to what the Idoneth Deep can do with their magical water tide that they bring. So I'm guessing they're gonna have a similar kind of mechanic, but involving swamp gases, or like a swamp kind of thing that they bring forth. Then we get some of the long range ones, and this is where things start getting way interesting. Here we have seen some tidbits that I want to talk about. Their swords look so different to what orc swords look like. Their armor, they looks very orky like, I want to say, but it has a slight different touch to it. Like, you can tell it's way different when it comes to the armor, especially here. Like, that armor, some of the bits, like this part, I will go back to it, but a lot of like the helmets remind me of something else, and something that they did mention in the videos. And it was about time that Destruction gets some ranged weapons. They needed it, but at the fact that they did have, you know, the little the goblins archers, or they did have some of the savage boys from the orcs, but here is a proper crossbow, very deadly looking crossbow. This is one that we saw in the trailer that actually pierced through the Stormcast Eternal. And that also brings me back at the fact that maybe the reason why it's able to pierce through a Thunderstrike armor is that was made by Grungni, a dwarf, is because when they mentioned not these guys but these guys, that is when something in my mind clicked, and even they said it, is that the fact that they are getting their metals and their weapons from a dark master or a darker force. We have the Guts Tripas. This is another one that brings me back to the point, and as I said, amazing. Honestly, this is what made me love them, and this is why I was like, yeah, this is what I gotta have. And I love the fact that every shield is like personalized, looking different, and it's pretty cool. It's gonna be a little bit bad when you have to, you know, plastic glue them together because I guess a shield goes to a specific one, and you really cannot cut, like you cannot give this one to this one, so you would have to kind of like base it off as to what the the head looks like. So that's a little bit downside to it, the fact that the personalization that you yourself want to do to your models is kind of taken away, but also it's kind of cool because it's a personalized shield for that thing. So in a way it's good, but at the same time not good, but it doesn't say that you cannot use it somewhere else. But of course, also painting wise is going to be quite cool. You don't have to go for that green skin, you don't have to go for, you know, looking like that. It's pretty cool. And now these guys are interesting because the armor is already less crude, less, you know, bit bashed. This is more smooth. This looks like it's been worked and it's been specifically made in a way. And even the design of the model itself, it's super different. They also have the little red, and the fact that it says here that this diminutive allies, the key word is allies. It means that they're not orcs. They're not orcs. The Hobgrots Slitas are not orcs, and they're more of a different kind of thing. And they say that they're traders, and they trade with somebody else, and they're the intermediaries between them, the orcs, the kruleboyz, and somebody else. And as we all know, who is that anybody else? Obviously, we all know they're talking about these guys, the chaos dwarfs. And that kind of teases a confirmation that eventually we are gonna get back the chaos dwarfs in plastic, since before we used to have them in metal, but then Forge World took them out. They've been out for the longest time, and hopefully we do get them as plastic models, kind of like how we finally got Lord Krog, and slowly but surely the Skaven and the Seraphon, and hopefully the Beastmen will get their more updated plastic versions. But yes, going back to this, you get to see, you know, that smooth armor kind of thing. You get to see that workmanship, and why I think that it's like this, why I think that they're able to pierce through the armor made by a dwarf is because they're being made, these weapons, all these weapons are being made and maybe imbued by magic of the chaos dwarfs. Not only that, but the lore of the chaos dwarfs themselves in the world that was in Warhammer Fantasy was that they love to take slaves. What do these guys do? They trade basically their slaves. They did, and the first teaser that we got for the kruleboyz was the fact that people were disappearing, and also the chaos dwarves, since they love slaves, that is basically how they trade. They trade weapons and armor for slaves, because that is the thing they do, the chaos dwarves. Yeah, that is the thing they do, the chaos dwarves. So it is an amazing connection, and hopefully sometime in 3rd edition we are finally gonna get to see some chaos dwarves, since they're basically tying them in already this early in 3rd edition. You know, the fact that we might get to see those beloved chaos dwarfs, which would look amazing. And honestly, lore wise, I see them tying them in with the fire slayers, because the fire slayers are more of the ancestral kind of style of Dwarden. They're more, you know, they value the workmanship. And where do they come from? The realm of Akshi. That realm of Akshi is the realm of passion. Everything has to be both in fire, and like it's just fire of passion. Like, you gotta love the work. And you can see how some of the Dwarden from there could somehow befall into chaos influence, kind of like how in the world that was happened to the uh, chaos dwarfs. Maybe during the age of chaos they're gonna sort of do the same thing as the world that was in the age of chaos. A faction that lived isolated, far away, became sort of like a breakaway nation of the fire slayers, and they became cannibals, and they resorted to turning back into magic, and they imbued the stuff again. And since fire slayers are very passionate, and the chaos dwarves are very passionate when it comes to doing their slaves, doing their work, and they're very passionate about learning magic. And you can see that tie-in of being Akshi. And in the trailer, the first tease that they gave for the kruleboyz, they do one of the rhymes that the lady of the trailer says is and one disappeared from the realm of Akshi. So in a way, they are teasing the fact something is going on in Akshi. So amazing that they're doing a little tease there. And lore-wise, I cannot wait for when the battle tome of kruleboyz comes out, and they explain these little guys, especially at the fact that it says that they're allies. They're the slave masters. And also another reason why it's pretty cool is because Forge World used to have the dwarves, but also there used to be these little guys right here. And when you look at them, these hobgoblins right here, they used to be called hobgoblins. I pulled it up because I wanted to show you guys, is that the fact that they kind of really look like them, and they're very synonymous with the chaos dwarfs, because they were the kind of species that was kind of orcs that were not really liked or trusted by the goblins and the orcs. They were just a kind of thing, and they were the perfect slave keepers of the chaos dwarfs. And it's pretty interesting that the style of the model is almost on par with this old ones, just more updated. This is for the Blood Bowl, when back in the age of Warhammer Fantasy. But yeah, you can see exactly where they got the little cues from when it comes to their inspiration for these guys, the new hobgrots, not hobgoblins but hobgrots. So yeah, maybe these guys, when finally the chaos dwarves get released, maybe these guys are gonna be interchangeable between destruction and chaos dwarves. And of course, as I said, core book. Then of course you get the war scrolls, the new rules. Some of the rules are pretty cool. Hopefully they transfer well to the tabletops. For me, what I'm interested more is the lore, and that's what kind of drives me to continue playing the game. That's why I'm excited for when they mentioned Path to Glory becoming the new Crusade for Age of Sigmar equivalent, and that is what actually has me the most excited, and hopefully it transfers well to Age of Sigmar. I want to take some of my kruleboyz when I finally do get them, to make them into elite warriors. So it's gonna be pretty cool. I will be playing some Path of Glory, definitely. I do play Crusade, and I like Crusade a lot because I like the narrative gameplay. I like campaigns. I like the fact that you start off small and you end up big, and it's pretty cool. So hopefully they do that pretty well. And then we get a little art set just showing off everything. So, and then this is what sealed the deal for me as to why I liked the kruleboyz. This is more the Stormcast, but when they showed off this part, that what comes after the Dominion box set, you get more Stormcast. It looks pretty cool. I love the griffins. I like the fact that it's like tigerish kind of thing, like a mix. So pretty cool, and hopefully this guy is gonna be a kick-ass warrior, maybe on the level of some of the Lumineth spirits of the wind. Could be maybe like that they're like, can't touch this kind of thing. But it's gonna be quite amazing. The chariot, I honestly love the chariot. It looks super gladiator like, and if you wanted to, you can just kit bash it, add more stuff here to the side if you want to make it more. But for me, it looks pretty amazing. The poses of the warriors, like you can tell, like if you have ever seen movies or shows or been with a chariot, you actually use your whole body to maintain your balance. So this is a pretty cool pose that they did. The fact that, you know, they're trying to maintain a straight, I think the wheel is slightly going up, maybe they're making a turn or something. The griffins, the big ones, that's pretty cool. Maybe they lost some details here on the arms, but other than that, it looks pretty cool. And this is for me what sealed the deal. This one and the next one, the beast skewer killbow. Now this is something I would use to kill Kragnos, to be honest. This is something I would aim for a god. This is not for a monster. This is not for the little guys in the bottom. This is more like you're trying to kill something the size of a Mega Gargant, which no other faction has anything like that. And hopefully these things you can imbue them with magic, and that way you can get some night haunts, even though you technically can, but hopefully lore wise they add something to this. Hopefully it is the fact that it is imbued with Chaos Dwarf magic or something. But amazing. I wonder how big this is gonna be, but it looks so epic. So many details to do, but it's going to be amazing to paint it. You get the little guys pulling the lever, the guy aiming the weapon, the guy's holding the next arrow that is gonna have to go inside. It is just pretty cool, and this is the one that sealed the deal for me. When I saw this one, I was like, yes, 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 this is the epitome of what I want. This, you can just put it in front of me, and yeah, it is quite amazing actually. I like it a lot, and it's quite funny as well. The fact, you know, gotta protect his little back, the little baby. And the fact that he has a cushion on his side, so the trunk won't hurt him. His little trunk seat won't hurt him. But yeah, I don't know how he represents himself as a Cyclops, because he's not a Cyclops himself. But hey, he's a troll. He's not the smartest guy he's not the smartest chip in the block. But hopefully they add more stuff like this, or even just a troll like that himself. It would just be amazing. But this is where, I mean, it does give me the Lord of the Rings kind of vibe. But yeah, this one, gotta have it. These two, gotta have them, is for sure. And then obviously the book that I will also be getting, so I can read it, so I can read up on the lore of the new edition. But yeah, those are my reactions. As I said, I love Kruleboyz. The name, not so much, but the models themselves, amazing. I'll end it with the picture of just all of them together like that. But tell me guys what you guys think in the comments below. Are you excited for it? Are you gonna be hoping to get it, or are you bought so much stuff with the entire releases of Soul Blight, if you were happen to be the people who picked up Soul Blight, or if you happen to have bought Kragnos and Croak and the the Revenant, the Warsong Revenant, which I also will be getting. I think I'll be getting Croak, the Revenant, and this box set. Gonna be a lot, but I think it's gonna be worth it, because rule wise I'm hoping they do transfer well, but lore wise I love the lore wise of it. But yeah, I'll be making videos for Kragnos when it comes out, and I will be making videos of the short stories that they released. I'm working on that as we speak, and just more lore videos that I will be coming up with, and a new painting guide that I will be doing soon about painting like UV light. So I got inspired by watching butterflies, if you believe it or not. But yeah, are you excited to what you're gonna see here? Are you gonna be getting it? What do you think? Do you think the Chaos Dwarfs are gonna be making a comeback? Um, yeah, like what do you guys think? What do you think of the new armor of the Stormcast? Which side are you gonna be getting? Are you gonna be sharing this box with somebody? Are you gonna be getting it for one specific faction and gonna share it with somebody else, the other faction? Kind of like how Starbucks do it, or when Dominus came out, that is what some people actually did. Which one are you more inclined to get more? Are you gonna be more for the kruleboyz, or are you gonna be more for the Stormcast? And also, I'm sure of your thoughts about, you know, third edition rules. What kind of things you want? What kind of things you want improved? And also, if you are gonna start a new project, is this release enticing you to start a destruction or a Sigmar army, or are you already dead set on one of the other ones that are being released? But yeah, give a comment below. Hopefully you liked the video, and hopefully you like, and hopefully you subscribe. Yeah, thanks for watching, and remember that everything is what it seems in the realm of Ulgu.